So the car that rocks. Give us a flavour of this. It looks car's on fire by the look of it to me in the trailer.
Well, we had to be very careful about that because I don't know if you know, when Ferraris first came out, a few of them did catch fire. So I hope they don't take us to task over that. Just joking there, Enzo. But you're dead. Why am I worried? Sorry, but no, it was funny because this car is here, and that's the one we used in a lot of the shots. And then they came to America to. They said, Brian, we need you in your Ferrari there because they do a lot of research, not realising that Ferrari's in England. They said, what are we going to do? I said, I don't have it here. And they went, oh my God. But where I live is a strange place. A friend of mine called Bud Pauly, he lives 2 doors down. And I said, Bud, can I borrow your 458 for a couple of days of shooting? He went, yeah, Brian, the keys is on the table. Just come and get it. And it was exactly the same car. So, I mean, where else would that happen? It was just brilliant. He just lent me his car.
So your wife was saying you were given a Ferrari at one point, but you couldn't get it into America. Is that right?
Yeah, they wouldn't let us in. The Americans have this strange rule with modern cars. It's called protectionism. And there has to be a sign on the dashboard which says that the airbag is not working because there's no passenger next to you. Well, I can pretty much figure that out myself. It's a bit like, I mean, it's so ridiculous. America's now is so many caution signs, for stupid people. And I say to the world, we should take all these warning labels off everything and let nature take its own course. Get rid of the stupid people. Sorry about that.
I like that's a nice culling exercise. We could do that with pedestrian crossings as well, couldn't we? We could make it a civilised place.
Alex, use your head.
So how did you like the process of doing TV?
It was different. It was wonderful. It was, tiring. It was, trying to think of things to say all the time, doing me homework and doing me research, because I didn't want it just to be about cars. There's so many car programs. Top Gear's the best of them all. It's the benchmark. So you cannot compete with stuff like that. What I wanted to do was to just talk about the guys who built these cars in the early days. W.O. and the Bentley, W.O. Bentley, sorry, and the Ferruccio Lamborghini and Alec Azigonis, the man who designed the Mini, just one guy. It wasn't a committee. It was just one guy's genius. And Rolls Royce, it was, Henry Royce and Charles Rolls, got together and built them.
You love Henry a roller, don't you? I saw you doing a program on the roller. You love a roller, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. I just love it. It's every boy's dream to. The only time I saw a Rolls Royce when I was a kid, it was a hearse. And it was, and when I'd go down to my dad's pub, the social club, be all the old guys sitting in there going, "It's my turn to drive, and I'll be getting me right in a Rolls Royce." And they were quite excited about dying so they could get their ride in the Rolls Royce. But it was just this significant beast, this Rolls Royce. And I said to myself, I want to buy one before I'm dead. Because it's quite a purchase and all that, and I bought one, and it was just the best thing I ever did.
When did you finally buy it?
I bought it about 6 years ago or something, the big Phantom, and I just drive it like I stole it. This thing just does everything. You can rip around in it, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. It weighs 2.5 ton, or the same size as some big fat South African dictator. South American, sorry. But and it's just fun,
What I love about you is you live the rock and roll lifestyle, don't you? Do you? Can
I just ask you to stand about over here for me?
Oh yeah.
So is that okay?
Yeah.
Just for our life.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Sorry about that.
Talking about television, yeah. You seem to live the rock and roll lifestyle to me. Do you work at this, or you wake up every morning? What can I do that is?
No, it's. I don't know. I guess I thought I never did, because I don't go to clubs, and I don't go to openings. I don't, whenever there's some kind of rock and roll award, the whole band are like that. We just keep away from it.
Yeah.
It's. it's best just to stay under the radar as best you can. I'm old now. I'm 66 years old, and
not old.
And I just, well, I don't think so, but and I just get on with everything. Every morning, an old friend of mine said to me once, he said, Brian, when you get up in the morning, you got to look at yourself and say, hey, what are you going to do with your gift today? Every day's a gift, buddy. And he's the most wonderful man I know. And I thought, what a great way to look at stuff, And that's the way I do. Every day is a challenge and something new, whether it be racing or writing a song or, doing whatever it is. I'm just getting on my bike and taking a ride, like a pedal bike. And It's just doing something.
But you love the adrenaline as well. It gets me, because, is there something similar about standing on a stage to driving that Mini that I just experienced? There's some similarity to it, isn't
well,
there?
it is. That's why I wrote that book, Rockers and Rollers. I was trying to explain the marriage between rock and roll and fast cars, or just regular cars having fun. And whether it's 100,000 people roaring at you in a stadium, or standing and listening to 35 V8s getting ready at the start of a race and roaring down that track, that sounds like Zeus farting or something, breaking wind. I shouldn't have said, but it's just this roar that you cannot experience anywhere else in the world, and those kind of things excite me. When people say to me, Brian, why didn't you take up, you live in Florida, you live on the water, do you like fishing? I was going, like spear fishing? That's the only way I'd fish. I wouldn't be sitting there with a pole. There's too much going on around me for that. But people do like that, So.
Yeah. You doing any writing at the moment?
No, not at the minute. I'm just keeping, my options open. I did a bit of writing with Jimmy Nail, and we'll have some lovely songs.
Oh, yeah.
But Jimmy's busy now with...
What's he doing?
Well, Jimmy's doing The Last Ship with Sting. He's opening up on Broadway in about...
Wow.
He's very excited.
Wow.
We just had our last Sunday lunch the other day before he flew off, and we shook hands and wished them the best. I think it's going to be huge. And
so might you release something with
I
Jimmy,
hope so. Yes, I hope so. But it's going to take a time. It's like everything. It's schedules. Everybody's doing something different. And, and it's just been fun. Mixing music, television, racing. And it keeps me busy. And visiting friends. I like to visit friends. I like to drive me RV. My big bus. I like to drive that round America with my wife. And we're just going camping, and that's fun.
And do you? I know you spend a little bit of time here. Do you miss Britain, or you're settled in America? How do you divide yourself between the two?
Well, I live mainly in America, and I do like the lifestyle and where I live. A place called Sarasota. It's beautiful, and I know everybody there, but I come back a lot, and I see my friends up in the northeast, and my family, and my little grandson Edwin, who's been running around all day
with his remote control Ferrari.
Guys,
I like to. Mate, he'll have a go-kart in no time.
A little bugger, but it's. I guess life's just what you make it, isn't it?
But you've made it very special, haven't you? Have you got a certain amount of drive that's kept you wanting to succeed?
I don't know. I guess I had to miss out on things like with racing. I used to watch it and I'd go, gosh darn it, what that's like. And then of course I got myself into trouble last week. I went to the Bahrain Grand Prix, and as I was walking down the grid, Bernie Eccleston pulled us over and he said, "There you are, I've been looking for you." I said, "What do you want?" Because I hardly know the man. And he went, "You got to interview the drivers on the podium at the end of the race." And he said, "It's all right, it's only in front of 500 million people." And I went, "Get that out of here." And he said, "You'll not leave the circuit alive if you don't." And I went, "Well, Bernie, of course, if you put it like that, my old tart." So I got up and did it, and boy, oh boy, was that a rush. So, I love doing things like that. A couple of weeks before, I was in Madison Square Garden watching my old pal Billy Joe.
I saw that footage.
And he just went, "Hey, I've got an old friend." I went, "What? But Billy, I haven't sang for 4 years. I'm not." And we got up there, it was cracking. If you don't do it...
You sounded in good form to me.
Well, it was all right. I couldn't hear anything. My knees were knocking so hard. But it was fun.
But is there anything different? Is there anything that really compares with being on stage with Angus though? That is quite something.
It's pretty unique. Angus is. I'm still trying to figure out if Angus is human. Or some superhero.
What was it like when you were first on stage with him? Did you know how did it all come?
Well,
did you just let him?
It's just completely confusing because in them days we didn't have these. It was all wires, and everybody had wires everywhere. And Angus had about 60 yards of wire, and so he could go anywhere. And of course, the first thing you had to do, you had to learn how to jump, just get out of the wires. And he was. But he was wonderful. He goes on that stage, God bless him, and he's lost to the universe. He's somewhere out on a different planet somewhere, and he doesn't come down until it's finished. And then he's Angus again, this very quiet.
I've seen
man.
the interviews. Yeah, he's not.
He's just a very quiet man who has this gift. That he cannot figure out at all. He just does it, and it's quite surreal.
It is. Have you taken him for a drive in the car though? Because I think
No.
that might sort him out.
No, he hasn't got a driving license.
Really?
No, he never thinks about cars. It's the last thing he'd think about. It's guitars. Music, blues mainly. That's his big thing. It's the blues, and he knows more about it than just about anybody I know.
So, what's the next big thing for you then? What have you got your eye on to do?
Well, the Mille Miglia, which is on May the 14th to the 19th. I'm be running with Mark Dixon from Octane Magazine, the editor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One of the editors there, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be strange because I'll be in Vancouver with the boys in the studio on May 1st, and I've already told them I've got to do this. It's the greatest opportunity to race the greatest race ever, and so I've got to fly from Vancouver the day before the race, get into scrutineering, get a cold shower immediately, and get in this car, this C-type Jaguar 1953, and drive 1,000 miles. Hey, no problem.
You'll be fine.
I hope Mark's all right. He'd be reading the maps going, oh, Jesus, you're falling asleep again. But we'll be fine.
So you'll be in the studio for a bit, yeah?
Yeah, we should be in the studio most of I think maybe it's June, July, May, June, and, maybe it's finish about then, I don't know. But we've been with Brendan O'Brien. He's very rapid producer. He's very quick.
Well, that's
in and out.
Oh, that's good. Well, and we might see you on stage at some point.
I hope so. I hate to put a finger on it, but I hope so. I don't think I'm finished yet.